back to the Stitches and Scribbles channel. My name is Erin and today I am setting up my craft room. So on my channel now there should be a playlist called, I forget if I called it like house decorating or house tours or something like that. But I did post an empty house tour a while ago, depending on when you're seeing this. I don't know exactly like what time it is for you when you see this video because these are going to be very pre-filmed. But my husband and I bought a house and we're in the process of setting it up. So even though you're seeing this sometime in 2023, for me right now it is fall of 2022. I'm just trying to space out my house related content so that you still get all the crafty content you need in between. So it might be quite a while after I filmed this before you see it, but that's okay. This room is the first room of the house that I am setting up because we're doing some like flooring projects throughout the rest of the house, but the basement's kind of staying as is, so I can go ahead and set up my office down here. I do have all of my craft supplies in boxes on the floor, both in here and in the other side of the basement, that are ready to be organized. So I think today my goal is going to be to start with yarn organization, which is definitely like the biggest chunk of what I have to do. But behind me you can see I actually have these countertops back here, and underneath is all cabinets. It's an old set of kitchen cabinets that they must have moved down to the basement at some point in the house's history. But that's going to be my craft storage. So I think the first step today is actually going to be a lot of yarn winding, because I have a lot of like partial skeins that I just tossed in a box and brought with me that are going to sit on the shelves inside the cabinet better if they are wound into yarn cakes. So I think that's where we're going to start off today. So this is my progress after about 2 hours. You can see all of the extra yarn labels and other random stuff I've pulled out. I'm starting to fill this corner cabinet first with all of my craft fair yarn, cotton and scrubby, and then the bottom one I think is going to be my bulky yarn, like for the plushies I make. And then for yarn that's not craft fair yarn, I'm starting to sort it over on this side. I haven't decided yet if I want this set of cabinets to be yarn or if I want this set to be yarn. There's more on this side, but I have a feeling I won't need all 4 sections, but I'm not sure yet. I will have to see how much ends up on the counter, but for now we're just going to keep winding yarn and making it look a little tidier. I'm basically, any skein that's falling apart I am winding into a cake, but if it looks pretty intact I'm just leaving it as is. Okay, so just to show you where I'm at this point, I've started collecting cotton and like bamboo type yarn in this drawer. These are all just like scraps or small skeins. And I also have ribbon yarns in here just because they're really small and I didn't want them taking up space in the cabinet sections. And on this side I've started collecting scraps or small balls of acrylic that is either patterned or sparkly. I know that that's like a weird qualifier, but it's because I'm thinking those other 2 are going to be for my other acrylic scraps, which then become my like scrap blanket stash, or like if I want to add stripes to a solid color hat in my like craft fair vendor stuff. And then down here, which is probably not really going to show up on camera, but I have all of my craft fair yarn, so all of my like basic acrylic that works in the knitting machine. So now the goal is to continue organizing all of my other yarn that is not knitting machine friendly or is meant for specific projects. Okay, so we're starting to be a little bit more put together down here. You can see wrong way. I've got some of my decorative yarns up on the shelf for now. I'll probably have kind of seasonal things on that shelf because it will most likely be the background for at least my podcast videos on this channel. Right now it's actually just before Halloween, so I have all of my Halloween yarns out. I also was able to put all of my yarn stash away in the cabinets over on this side of the room. I know it doesn't look like that right now, but I do have some current project pieces that are still out on the counter. But I think my next step for today, which actually today is a week or so after I filmed the last clip because we've been taking breaks to do other projects and stuff like that. But my next step for today, I think, is going to be to start organizing some of my non-yarn craft supplies. So like beading, markers, paints, stuff like that. I'm going to try to get into the other side of my cabinets, especially since there's one section that has more drawers in it. I thought that would be perfect for beads. Okay, hi. I just watched back all of the footage that I took now several months ago because it's now February. And I didn't want to totally scrap the video of like how I was organizing my office because a lot of the like initial organization stuff was really good. But I adjusted my expectations and my process quite a bit after those clips that you just saw. So at some point while we were moving into the house, I realized that I was delaying setting things up because I wanted to film videos, and we really just needed to finish moving in and finish setting up our house so that we could actually move in and live here. By the time this video comes out, you will have seen this craft room in the background of many, many, many videos. But I kind of wanted to preserve the original footage so that I could take the opportunity to talk about my office progress and how I've kind of changed how I want the space to function. So all of the organizing that I originally did, I am still using. So the like vertical drawers that are actually to this side of me when I'm sitting here in my podcast area are still my like beads and also pens and markers and stuff. All of my yarn is still on this side. But in organizing my office, it really made me realize that I do not need to have this much craft stuff at one time. It wasn't a good use of the space. There are things that I would rather store in here that I can't because of the number of craft supplies that I have. So I made it a goal for this year to really decrease my yarn stash so that I can see the yarn that I actually have and so that it doesn't take up quite so much space. Because right now, so this corner back here is the same like circular cabinet that you saw in the video that has my craft fair cotton and bulky yarn in it. But then this whole side is all yarn. And I don't really want to continue like that. I would much prefer it if I could decrease the amount of yarn pretty drastically. And I have also decided it actually would be best for me if all of my non-craft fair yarn was visible in these shelves. I know I'll have to make some adjustments, especially if I have like really large balls of yarn that don't fit on that shelf because it's pretty shallow. And I don't really feel the need to have all of my craft fair materials on display because that's yarn that I tend to burn through more quickly because it's used mostly with the knitting machine. But I don't want to have cabinets and cabinets full of yarn. That just doesn't seem like a good use of the space. So you got to see my initial setup process and what I thought I was going to do with the space, but I have definitely changed how I want to use it. And honestly, it'll probably continue to change as we continue living in this house. So I kind of just wanted to give an update because I did still want to release the original footage, but it had been so long since I originally started filming this video that I knew I needed some sort of an explanation at the end, because if you've been watching all of my videos on my channel, you've already seen this room. You know what it looks like. You've even heard me talk about my goal to like decrease my yarn stash. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for this video. It also kind of changed the way I plan on filming videos showing the rest of my house, because I would love to like kind of take you along on the journey as we finalize what the inside of our house looks like, but I realized I was going to have to really change how I filmed those videos. So the playlist I mentioned before of like house related videos will still exist on my channel, and you can still see the empty house tour. But instead of showing every single room start to finish, which was my original intent, I realized that that didn't make sense, especially because some of the rooms we still don't have furniture for because we moved from an apartment to a house. And taking my camera every time I went furniture shopping or to like look at thrift stores also didn't really make sense. So instead of doing a like start to finish transformation for each room, I figured at the start of each house related video, I'll show you what the room looks like now, but I'm going to make it more project based instead of room based, because originally I wanted a video for every single room to show you how we set it up and everything. But instead, I think every time I'm going to tackle a project in a specific room, I'll show you that process instead, if that makes sense. So you can still look forward to more house decorating related videos here on this channel, but the format's going to be very different from what I originally thought it was going to be. And with all of that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and end the video here. My office is always going to be under construction, but if you watch my podcasts, you'll get to see the ever-changing background as we go. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw today, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you can be notified of all of my future videos. And if you would like to follow me on other forms of social media, that information will be in the description box below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.